On November 22, 1963, the world was rocked by the shocking assassination of John F. Kennedy. While the Warren Commission proclaimed that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, many skeptics have long questioned this narrative, pointing to inconsistencies and unexplored evidence. Now, a former Secret Service agent, Paul Landis, has broken his silence, revealing shocking insights from just feet away on that fateful day. His explosive testimony, combined with modern forensic analysis, could upend everything we thought we knew. The witness who changed his story.
I was right there, right behind, 15, 20 feet, whatever, when his head exploded. I didn't want that to disappear. It was an important piece of evidence. The unfortunate thing is that I think just with the stress and everything, I have tried to analyze why all the things. I don't have it. I can't really answer. You had to be there to know how bad and how stressful and the chaos that was going on.
Paul Landis had long remained quiet about what he witnessed on that tragic day in Dallas, preferring to carry the burden of his memories privately rather than fuel speculation. In interviews and in his upcoming memoir, The Final Witness, Landis finally recounts what he saw from his position just feet away from President Kennedy's limousine. At the time, Landis believed in the Warren Commission's conclusions, trusting that the evidence had been interpreted correctly. But as he revisited his own memories, he began noticing discrepancies between his recollections and the official narrative. One of the most striking details was his account of discovering a bullet lodged in the limousine seat directly behind the president. According to Landis, the bullet did not travel deeply into Kennedy's body. Instead, it appeared to have been displaced, possibly popping out before the president was removed from the car. Landis says that, fearing the bullet would be stolen as a macabre souvenir, he made the snap decision to place it next to Kennedy on a stretcher at Parkland Memorial Hospital. This action stands in stark contrast to the Warren Commission's report, which claimed that the bullet in question had been found on a stretcher used to move Texas Governor John Connally, also wounded during the attack. This bullet formed the crux of the single bullet theory, which asserts that one projectile caused multiple wounds to both Kennedy and Connally. Landis's recollection undermines this central piece of evidence, suggesting that the bullet's chain of custody was misunderstood or possibly manipulated by investigators. His omission of these details in his initial written statements, made just days after the assassination, has been explained by Landis as the result of extreme shock and exhaustion, compounded by his focus on comforting Jacqueline Kennedy. By his own admission, Landis carried a deep sense of fear for years, wondering whether his decision to move the bullet had been a mistake. The timing of his disclosure just before the release of his memoir has raised eyebrows, but the specificity of his claims has given fresh fuel to researchers who have long doubted the official version of events. The single bullet theory under fire.
You shoot an animal and you hit bone, those bullets, they distort brutally. I mean, they don't look like that after they go through two people and hit all sorts of bone. That's the bullet that came out of Connally's body, or Connally's gurney, excuse me. And that's the bullet that they're attributing to this single bullet theory. If you look at the path of the bullet that goes through Connally, or goes through Kennedy and then goes through Connally, that to me is not unbelievable. It's not unbelievable.
That one is. But you got to look at the other one.
But even that one. But no. See what I'm saying? Even that one is not unbelievable. It is believable to me because I know that bullets do strange things when they hit things.
Right.
The Warren Commission's single bullet theory has been one of the most heavily debated aspects of the assassination investigation. This theory was designed to reconcile the physical evidence with the conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald fired only 3 shots from his position in the Texas Schoolbook Depository. According to the commission, one bullet passed through Kennedy, striking Connally multiple times before coming to rest largely intact on a hospital stretcher. The improbability of this magic bullet trajectory has been a point of skepticism since its inception, with critics arguing that the theory defies basic ballistics and anatomical logic. Landis has claimed that he retrieved the bullet from Kennedy's limousine seat, not from Connally's stretcher, casts even more doubt on the theory. If true, it would mean the bullet's path was misrepresented and that its connection to Connally's injuries is far weaker than investigators believed. The commission's findings also relied heavily on forensic techniques that, in hindsight, have proven to be flawed. Comparative bullet lead analysis, a method used to determine whether bullets originated from the same batch, was central to establishing the number of bullets fired. Dr. Vincent C. Gwynne, a respected chemist, testified that each bullet was chemically unique and that fragments recovered from the scene could be definitively tied to 2 bullets fired by Oswald. However, later research by Clifford Spiegelman and a team of experts revealed that this assumption was incorrect. By testing bullets from the same manufacturing batch as those Oswald allegedly used, they discovered multiple bullets were chemically indistinguishable, meaning that Gwynne's conclusions about the number of bullets, and by extension shooters, were not as definitive as once thought. Reassessing forensic evidence. Modern forensic science has offered new ways to evaluate the Kennedy assassination evidence, revealing how outdated methodologies may have skewed earlier investigations. In the decades following the assassination, comparative bullet lead analysis was widely used in criminal cases across the U.S. Yet by the 80s, the FBI began acknowledging that bullets from the same manufacturing batch often shared nearly identical chemical compositions, undermining claims that bullet fragments could be definitively matched to a single source. This was a seismic shift in forensic understanding and led to the eventual abandonment of the technique in courtrooms. Spiegelman's research, conducted with a multidisciplinary team that included chemists, metallurgists, and statisticians, reanalyzed Western Winchester Mannlicher Carcano bullets, the same brand allegedly used by Oswald, and found most bullets from a single batch were chemically indistinguishable from one another. The results challenged the narrative that only 2 bullets struck Kennedy and Connally. Spiegelman's team concluded the number of bullets involved could have been as few as 2 or as many as 5. Such a wide range opens the door to the possibility that additional shots, and therefore additional shooters, were involved. The possibility of multiple shooters.
We've done is analyze the one single bullet and whether that could be the same bullet that passed through John F. Kennedy as well as Connally. And what our findings found is that those are 2 different trajectories that cannot create the same wound pattern that is presented in the autopsy reports.
One of the central questions that Landis's testimony and the updated forensic analysis raise is whether Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. For decades, conspiracy theorists have pointed to inconsistencies in eyewitness accounts, forensic evidence, and even the Zapruder film as indicators of multiple shooters. Landis's claim that he heard what he described as a barrage of gunshots contradicts his original written statement that mentioned only 2 shots, aligning with accounts from other witnesses who reported hearing more than 3 shots that day. This discrepancy adds to the suspicion that more than one person may have been involved in the attack. The House Select Committee on Assassinations, which conducted its own investigation in the late 70s, concluded Kennedy was, quote, probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy, based in part on acoustic evidence of multiple shots. If additional shooters were present, it would explain some of the lingering mysteries about the assassination. The trajectory of Kennedy's fatal head wound, which some experts argue is inconsistent with Oswald's position in the depository, has long fueled speculation about a second gunman, potentially on the grassy knoll. While no conclusive evidence has ever proven this theory, the combination of Landis's testimony, flawed forensic science, and the ambiguous physical evidence has made it impossible to dismiss outright. In this context, Landis's decision to come forward after 60 years takes on new significance. His account doesn't just add another voice to the debate, it provides first-hand information that challenges the foundational assumptions of the official story. The weight of silence and new disclosures.
There's been conflicting evidence, and I think that even the FBI at the time reported some anomalies in the initial autopsy at Bethesda, Maryland. All of those, though, seem to have been rinsed and repeated in the media to push a certain narrative that we don't agree with. And so I think that in order to put to bed some of the theories that have been out there on John F. Kennedy, we have to know the full truth, and the full truth starts with transparency, and that's why these files is so important for the American people to read for themselves.
Landis's reluctance to speak out for so many years highlights the climate of fear and uncertainty that surrounded the Kennedy assassination investigation. In his own words, he admitted he worried he had done something wrong by moving the bullet, a fear that kept him from disclosing the full story sooner. He left the Secret Service just 6 months after the assassination, and for decades he tried to put the traumatic event behind him. It wasn't until 2014, when he realized his memory of the bullet's location didn't match the Warren Commission's account, that he began to re-examine his silence. Consulting officials about his recollections, Landis was met with skepticism, which likely deepened his hesitation to come forward. The release of thousands of previously classified assassination-related documents in recent years has reignited public interest in the case, providing a more receptive environment for voices like Landis's. His memoir arrives at a time when Americans are more willing than ever to question official narratives, especially those surrounding events of historical magnitude. While Landis's recollection alone cannot conclusively prove the presence of multiple shooters, it adds an important layer to the growing body of evidence that challenges the long-accepted version of events. Combined with the reappraisal of forensic evidence, his testimony reinforces the need for continued investigation into one of the most consequential moments in American history. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Paul Landis' testimony finally proves there were multiple shooters involved in the JFK assassination? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.